Some show up at Keeneland just to be beautiful, some for the burgoo. Me, it's because the best handicapping challenge on God's green earth is right here in Kentucky. Star horses come from Florida, California, and New York, Arkansas, and Louisiana, all to what undoubtedly is the greatest horse racing melting pot in America.
Into the stretch at Keeneland, and Flight Line just moves right by. Life is good.
Win here and you've done something. Love what you do and you'll never work a day in your life. That's Keeneland. Now, let's get handicapping. Hi there, everybody. Welcome into the Keeneland Look Ahead. I'm Jeremy Plonk from Horse Player Now. We get started each night at 8:30 Eastern for the next day's card. And what a Friday we have in store for you for April 21st. It was going to be a good card anyway with the Doubledogdare Stakes as the feature race, but this Friday got juiced, folks, when the pick six was not hit today for the second straight day. This now is a 3-day carryover of $859,000 going into tomorrow's card. The official carryover, $859,584 in the pick six. That's going to cause a lot of excitement, a lot of interest in the pools. I would say at least $2 million in fresh money will be bet into the pick six tomorrow. Today, with the pick six carryover of $220,000 some odd dollars, they bet $1 million of new money into the pick six. With $859,000 in the pick six tomorrow, you can expect those pools to reach $2 million plus in new money. Should be an unbelievable day with the buzz and the charge at Keeneland. Very much looking forward to it with the 10 race card getting underway at the normal 1 o'clock Eastern post time. Hope you've joined us throughout the course of the season for these Keeneland Look Ahead podcasts. We'll go through our normal format, but I do want to spend a little bit more time on the pick six races because of the interest that's going to be in those. So you'll see a slight change to what we've been doing throughout the course of the season and last year as well. But on this, I think we've got a special occasion. And there's going to be a lot of interest in the pick six tomorrow. Now, Mother Nature, I don't know what she's going to do. She hasn't given us her plans at this point because there's a 50% chance of afternoon showers tomorrow. So when do they come? Do we get them at the racetrack? Are they going to be in the surrounding area? Scattered showers. We'll see how it goes. We're going to have to adapt. 50% chance of rain tomorrow. 10 to 20 mile per hour winds. That could be a bigger factor than maybe the rain. Temperatures in the mid 70s. So we should be good in that regard of a pleasant day. But as far as the weather goes, it could get iffy later in the afternoon. We're here to handicap the horses. The weather, we're not any good at that. Sometimes we're not any good at handicapping the horses either, but the weather, we're certainly not good at handicapping. We will figure out tomorrow's weather as we play it by ear like everybody else come tomorrow. Now, again, today in the pick six, nobody took down the pick six, which is kind of odd because 3 favorites scored in the pick six sequence. The only race where there was an upset at all was the 17-1 shot in the race 8 allowance feature. And so that upset the apple cart, and nobody took down the pick six with the $1 minimum wager today. So interesting to see the carryover when you have 3 winning favorites in the sequence. Goes to show you could still be alive to a big score. I mean, going into the last race, oh man, did you see the last race? So the 9 and 10 horse, I believe, if I got the numbers right in my head, or the 9 and the 11, I think might have been the 2. They're both live in like $800,000 payoff, $400,000 payoff, and get nipped at the wire, or don't get there at the wire by a neck, a nose. 3 of them on the wire together. The favorite wins the last race in a triple photo finish, and nobody's alive to the favorite. They were alive to 4 horses in the race, none of which were the favorite. So it was really interesting the way that it all went down. Wesley Ward, big day on Thursday as we recap a little bit of what happened today on the track. 3 wins for Wesley Ward. We'll talk about his one big winner in just a moment, but he won a 2-year-old race. He won a turf sprint. Those are his arsenal here at Keeneland. He also won a main track allowance race. So good day for Wesley Ward. 3 wins. Joel Rosario also had 3. 2 of those teamed up with Wesley Ward. Main track continued to be very speed favoring. It's been that way through every day of the racing meet. What we had, we're 9 days in. This will be day 10 coming up. This track is playing very forward on the main track. So you want to be in the mix going into the clubhouse or going into the far turn. Horses are just not closing for more than about 3 lengths off the pace to do any damage on the win end. So you want to keep with early speed. Rosario Ward, hot connections today. We'll see if that continues tomorrow. I do want to show you this replay because it was a fantastic debut. There was a lot of hype for the Wesley Ward first-time starter today. We talked about him last night. The name's American Rascal. He's by Curlin and out of Lady Aurelia. Of course, Curlin, a champion, Preakness Stakes winner, Breeders' Cup winner. And then Lady Aurelia was an international globetrotter for Wesley Ward. She won at Royal Ascot. She won here in the U.S. Her full American Rascal today. What an impressive debut. Take a look.
Family Factor, last of 9. Loudermilk has the lead. American Rascal coming forward to challenge as they move by the 8th pole, and American Rascal just runs right by. American Rascal, 16th pole, 5 lengths clear, 6, 7 lengths clear. A spectacular debut by American Rascal, who wins it for Joel Rosario. Almost.
American Rascal, the fastest winner in a 2-year-old race here in the spring at Keeneland since 2018, I believe it was, when Kamari ran a little bit quicker. Top 7 all time since we've gone back to dirt in 2015 here, as far as the 2-year-old times go. And there was a meet back there at the beginning, 2016, where just everybody kind of thrashed through the track records, trading them off into 2-year-old ranks. A year the track was just super fast. I think 4 of the top 7 times all time for these 2-year-olds all came during that same meet back in 2016. So what a fabulous performance today. Can't say it enough for American Rascal. Headed next to Royal Ascot. Wesley Ward afterwards telling the simulcast audience that's where she'll head. She'll go overseas to England. So look forward to seeing her in June in one of the big ones over there. Or him, I should say. See him over in Royal Ascot in June. Just a fabulous performance. Let's talk about this Saturday card now, because the carryover, the Friday card, the carryover, the Doubledogdare Stakes. There's a lot to get to. Here's the big picture, what we're looking at for the Friday action at Keeneland. Early pick 5 begins in race number 1. The pick 4 is going to start in the second. Pick 6 will be races 5 through 10 on a 10-race card. Race 5 is also going to start the Keeneland Turf Pick 3 on races 5, 8, and 10. In green, we've got the Keeneland Turf Pick 3 races denoted. The late pick 5 is going to start in the 6th. The $200,000 guaranteed late pick 4 on Fridays will start in races 7 through 10. And again, we got those pick 3 races in the 8th and 10th. And then race number 9 is the stakes race of the day, the Doubledogdare Stakes. As for my key plays, we talked about it today. We thought favorites would kind of rubber stamp the first couple on the card and be short prices. That's kind of the way the cards are set up here at Keeneland, where the earlier races are usually a little less competitive with the heavier favorites. There's a rare long shot I like in race number 1, so we got something early in the card. And then races 8 and 10, I think we've got a chance to go after a couple horses as key plays, and they're part of that Keeneland Turf Pick 3. And of course, those will be a pick 6 sequence races. We're also going to give you a look at the pick 6 and kind of give you a big picture of that. But let's review the races and get started here on the program. Race number 1 on the card is where I've got a little price in here. Test Pilot, the 6 horse at 10-1 in the morning line. This is a horse who's coming in from Mahoning Valley, and we've seen the Mahoning Valley horses have a couple wins here already at the meet. They've done better than expected. This isn't a Mahoning Valley-based horse. This is an Eddie Keneally trainee. He claimed this horse in November at Churchill. Keneally is a Kentucky guy. So, yes, this horse ran at Mahoning last time, but it's not like you're trying to get a horse to really step up off the Ohio circuit. When this colt went to Ohio, was in a Lowndes Company, was protected, and got the victory at 4-5 in a Lowndes Company. What I like about that is was able to stay close to the pace. This is a horse who doesn't need the lead, but wants to be up near the front. And in this particular race, I don't think there's a lot of pace in here. 5 PH Factor goes to the front, and PH Factor will probably have Test Pilot sitting second. And I think you want to be 1-2 in these races going into the far turn. That seems to be the strategy that's holding up best. So PH Factor is going to set the pace, I think, and I think Test Pilot gets a chance to get that first overrun. Now, if you look at the handicappers across the way, we are all over the board in this race. So what it tells me, we are going to have a race where there's not a standout favorite. It's one of the reasons we show you this handicappers consensus box from Keeneland.com every night on the show, because the 1, the 4, the 5, the 6, and the 7, 5 different horses picked on top in a 7-horse race by 5 different handicappers. So you say, well, Plonk, you're probably not going to get that price on Test Pilot. Maybe we will, 10-1 in the morning line. But even if you go a little lower, I'm happy to play this horse around 5 or 6-1. I really like the trip that they should get under Luis Saez. So it's Test Pilot for me, but my handicapping brethren are all over the board in race number 1. Tells you that maybe you want to spread out a little bit, get a few options if you're going to play the early pick 5, the early pick 4 today. So let's get started with Test Pilot, our key play of the day, number 1. You see, we got 3 key plays of the day. In the first, I can't remember the last time a key play for me came in race number 1, just the way that it works out. Races 8 and 10 later in the card, the other key plays. Let's go to race number 2 now. This starts the early pick 4. Maiden Claimers going long here on the main track. And do we have any more consensus in this race, not so much. The 9 Rush Center picked by 2 of us, but I've got Patrolman on top. Magnificus is the pick for Kim Nelson. Tom Leach, who's been handicapping well, has got the 6. Lazarus and Rush Center for Gabby and Scott. So 4 different top picks amongst the 5 public handicappers. There's a lot more indecision at the beginning of this card than we're used to seeing. Usually we got a 2-year-old race right off the bat in one of the first 2 races on the card with a Wesley Ward 3 to 5 shot in there. Usually the first race is a short field with a standout favorite. Not the case. I think on Friday you got a chance to kind of surf around and go for some prices, perhaps. I did take Patrolman in here, first time for Brad Cox. This is a 4th time starter. The 3 previous races, all in allowance company or in maiden special weight, maiden allowance company, if you will, at Oaklawn Park, and now moves to Brad Cox from the John Ortiz barn. Gary and Mary West send this one in with a good pedigree by Empire Maker out of a Super Saver mare. Distance is no problem at all. And the Oaklawn horses have run really well here early in the meet, first couple weeks of the meet, despite Oaklawn still running. Oaklawn used to close before Keeneland started. And then when Oaklawn extended its meet, they keep a lot of the horses still in Hot Springs. They've got a big card, the Oaklawn Handicap, coming up on Saturday. So we're not getting all of the horses here at Keeneland that we used to get comparatively, but the ones running this meet are racking up victories and doing very well for the number of starters. So a thumbs up to the Oaklawn horses, the way they've performed so far to this point in the meet. And that's one of the reasons I went to Patrolman in here. Also, the Brad Cox horses, mile and a 16th, the Brad Cox horses, I've said it before and I'll say it many times, but they're winning like 31, 32% in mile and a 16th races at Keeneland over a good sample size now. They get to the top of the stretch. They got that ability to kind of take the big, deep breath and re-brake, as the Brad Cox horses often do. And you only got to get to the 16-pole finish line from that. It explains the statistic and why Brad Cox's horses are so effective at this trip. So give me Patrolman. It's a tough post. Flavian Pratt's going to have to work out a trip from the 10-hole, but I'm going with Patrolman in race number 2 here to start the early pick 4. Magnificus, the 1, doesn't have to worry about the wide trip. Also comes from Oaklawn. This one for trainer Ron Moquette. Not enough early speed with this one, though. I'm a little bit worried about Magnificus getting too far off the pace. But Irad Ortiz, when he gets the rail, if he's got the ability to get a horse to move, if that horse will cooperate with him, Irad will get the horse into the race. And I'm kind of banking on Magnificus to be much closer than, we see this horse 6, 8, 9 lengths off the pace typically. I'll be surprised if Magnificus is more than, say, 3 or 4 lengths off this pace. There's not a whole lot of speed in here. I expect Pratt on Patrolman to try to use a little bit of horse from the outside and clear over too. So I'll take those 2 in here. A lot of different options. The 9 Rush Center picked, going sprint the route and takes the drop in class from maiden special weight. A lot of times the horse will pop when they go around 2 turns. It's the first time around 2 turns, they say. Rush Center would try to fit that bill. Scott and Gabby both taking Rush Center as their top pick. Going to move quickly through these early races, so let's go to the 3rd on the card. Race number 3 is not going to start any of the multi-race wagers, so back to the picks we go. And in here, I've got Royal Take Charge, who's 2 for 2 lifetime. Al Stoll trains this daughter of Will Take Charge and hasn't done anything wrong to this point. A win at Churchill going around 1 turn at 7.5 out of the chute. And then a mile and a 16th race around 2 turns at Fairgrounds. So has one turning, has 1 2 turning, and now stretches out to the mile and 8th. A little bit farther on the trip and off since January. There could be some natural concerns there, but in a field of 5, I think, the speed in this race will be the 2 Jump Into the Fire. The 4 Jungle Juice has some early speed. The 5 Ravella has some early speed. And I think Royal Take Charge is probably going to sit just behind that. Illigami is the true closer in this race. And, if the track's playing what I would consider to be more friendly or fair towards the late running horses, the kind of horse I would pick 9 times out of 10 in this race would be Illigami. There is enough speed in this race to set up for a closer. And when I'm betting race shapes, that's what I'm looking for. But the way this track is playing, the way you've got to be closer to it, I can't see Illigami staying close enough early to get there. And what I'm worried about is the horse makes a rally and comes up a little bit short. So Illigami, I think, is going to be favored in this particular spot. I think the race sets up for him, or for her. But I think she's just going to come up short in here the way the track is playing. A mile and 1/8 does get you the entire stretch run. There's not a 16-pole finish line, so that will help. But Royal Take Charge, I don't think will be on the lead. Sat second last time behind Slow Fractions. These are going to be quick fractions. So I think Royal Take Charge probably sits around 3-4 lengths off the lead, goes into the turn and makes that first move and gets the first charge at him. Illigami gets the last charge. I think they run 1-2 in the exacta. I think it's 3-1. That's the way I'm seeing it in race number 3. And if you're playing the early pick 4 and the early pick 5, you may go too deep in here. I would have no problem at all if somebody used the 3 and the 1 in here. But as you look across the handicapper selectors box, we're all either on the 1-3 or the 3-1, even in the exacta. So it looks like a 2-horse race on paper, probably plays like that. I'll take Royal Take Charge to get there first because I think that filly will get the first jump. And the way the track is playing right now, horses like Iliogami aren't winning even when they get a race set up. They could change. It could change. We will see tomorrow in the third race. Let's go to the fourth on the program. And look, we're looking for speed in these races at Keeneland. We want to get to the front. And in this race, race number 4, the horse on the rail, Loved, could be Lone Speed in here. And Lone Speed's the most dangerous thing in all of horse racing. Give a horse an easy lead, let them get their confidence, and they don't come back often. I'm expecting the Brendan Walsh trainee, Loved, number 1. I know it's been off more than a year, but that means she's going to be fresh. Will she be fit enough to win here to go a mile and a 16th? I'm going to trust in Brendan Walsh that he will have her ready to go. She is half sister to Maxfield, who won the Grade 1 Breeders' Futurity as a 2-year-old here at Keeneland. And Maxfield, of course, went on Stephen Foster, a lot of big races. I think he earned $2-3 million. Love to me is classy. The layoff is some concern, but even if you want to treat her somewhat like a first-time starter, I think she's Lone Speed in here. I don't see anybody in this race that has any early foot whatsoever. And I think being fresh and the fact that she only sprinted in her debut, Tyler Gaffleone's going to put Loved on the engine, and they're going to have to come and get her. I've got her as the top pick in race number 4. Scott's also got Loved on top, as does Kim Nelson. In between, Magic Palace gets a little love in Autism Community. So the 1, the 4, and the 2 are top selections among our group in here. I didn't use the 4 or 2 on the underneath side. I used Texas Melody second in here. Texas Melody comes off a couple races at Turfway and adds Lasix for the first time. Could move up off of that. The Turfway horses are running pretty well. Especially I like the Turfway maidens as they go long. Those horses usually fit coming off the synthetic, but not a race I'm going to get too excited to play unless Love would happen to be left at, 5-2, 3-1, then maybe a straight win bet, or looking at daily doubles from race 4 into race 5, because race 5 is a very interesting race that gets everything started in the pick 6. And there are multiple contenders that you can consider in race number 5. It also kicks off the Keeneland Turf Pick 3. So this is really a key race on the card. If you're playing the Keeneland Turf Pick 3, if you're playing the Pick 6, this is where it all gets underway in the 5th. And I think with that horse, I think it's Loved is going to be a shorter price in race number 4. So we're looking at trying to hit the daily double perhaps from race 4 to race 5. Whom might we use in here? Catamasto is the horse I've got on top in here, and 3 of our handicappers also have Catamasto on top. I don't even know this horse goes as favorite, but 3 of the 5 of us have her on top and are him on top. He's bred to be a really good turf sprinter by No Nay Never out of Invincible Spirit Mare. This horse has run twice in the U.S., really good effort in August, then ran here in the Woodford in the fall, and just kind of things went sideways against Golden Powell and company. Probably came out of that race with a little bit of issue because we haven't seen him since. Now he gets the return with the benefit of Lasix for the first time, a couple workouts down in Ocala. I think Mark Cassio will have this one ready to go. And I love the 3, 4, 5 power posts in these 12, 13 horse turf sprints. We get the big 12 horse fields. 3, 4, and 5 have a good statistical advantage. And I'm looking for that to play dividends here. I also think in this race, the 4 Gregory's Pride, the 5 True Jedi, and the 6 Trust Daddy are all horses that you want to consider using. They're all in the gate next to each other. True Jedi's got Irad Ortiz up. Trust Daddy has Joel Rosario. Those are by far the 2 best jockeys statistically in Keeneland Turf Sprints. So the 5 and 6 have to be in your mix. Gregory's Pride looks really good for a Phil D'Amato barn that has come in from California and is firing with the horses he sends in at this meet. He teams up with his old partner out in Southern California, Flavian Pratt. They have a tremendous percentage when they work together, 30% over the last year or two working together, Pratt and D'Amato. So a lot to like there. I thought Catamasto might be the price between the 3, 4, 5, and 6. I thought I was going for the horse who would be the best price of that bunch, and that still may be the case. But with 3 of us picking the horse on top, we might all have the same kind of idea. Catamasto, the top choice for me. Again, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I think you want to use all those. And certainly keep an eye on the also eligible list here, as Kim Nelson has on top. I didn't include Red Hot Rod in my top 3 because of being on the also eligible list, and there were other really good options here. But the 13 draws in the field, you absolutely have to use Red Hot Rod as part of your mix. So keep an eye on the scratches and changes as they come out tomorrow morning. As you tune into the Today at Keeneland show, whether or not Wesley Ward's horse gets in there Red Hot Rod a big deal in race number 5, whether that horse draws into the field. And maybe one of the other main contenders would scratch and be the one that comes out when Red Hot Rod gets inserted. And now you're looking at, look, I've got to use this horse in a swap situation. But 3, 4, 5, 6, all very legit, I think, in race number 5. Let's go to the 6th race on the card. And the 6th race is going to kick off the late pick 5. Late pick 5 on races 6 through 10 on these 10 race cards. This is another spot where I think we may have a potential lone speed on the rail situation. I talked about it with Love in race number 4. Same thing goes here for number 1, Morning Cup. And Morning Cup is picked on top by Scott, Tom, myself, and Kim Nelson. There's really no speed in this race at all. The Alstall trainee should go to the front. Irad Ortiz, when Irad Ortiz gets a speed advantage like this in the rail, you just can't see him giving it back. I think there's just too many advantages there for one of the most aggressive and talented riders there is out there. Morning Cup looks like a single in here if you're playing the late pick 5, which kicks off in this leg. If you're in the pick 6, I think this is a single potential as well. Morning Cup, Alstall, Irad Ortiz, I think they take this race. The other one to keep an eye on maybe is Appeal Denied, a horse who comes off a massive Beyer speed figure last time. I'm not a big Beyer guy. I'm a little more concerned with Appeal Denied running a terrible race at Keeneland. The only time this horse was over the track in November. Keeneland is a very horse for course. So that worries me a little bit with Appeal Denied, but the last race was sensational. Behind Button Boy, 110-1 at Fairgrounds. They were cooking that day. Big speed figure. So if Appeal Denied is just in raging form right now, maybe that's the other horse. Maybe that's the one who can kind of press Morning Cup early. And maybe those two go out, but I think those two are, above the rest in here. Schmoozen's another one that, just kind of gets underneath. 2 for 29 lifetime. You might use under, but you certainly wouldn't want to be, banking and putting a lot of your combinations through the 2 Schmoozen on top. More of an underneath type horse to consider for the exotics. Next up is race number 7. It's going to start the late pick 4. Race number 7 is a maiden special weight for older horses in here, 3-year-olds. 6.5 furlongs the distance. I had a hard time with this race. I think this race is very competitive, so I'm interested to see what the rest of the crew has in here. I went with the 1 Coppa Girl by Constitution. Brad Cox, first-time starter. Big gate work, bullet workout March 21st, and then since then, more maintenance workouts. Hoping this one is live right out of the box. $200,000 Keeneland September purchase. Coppa Girl for me, the 1, but I've got literally 5 horses in here that I look to use. 1, 6, 9, 8, and 5. And as you look across the handicapper selectors box, that didn't even include the 4 or Scott's picked the 4 in here. Hide right away. And then the others are kind of in that mix. So I'm 5 deep, and I only have Scott's top choice in here, a horse coming in from Laurel Park. So this is a race that you're going to need coverage in. It starts the late pick 4. I don't see any way to get great confidence. The 6 Sassy Walker's a first-time starter that's got some interest for sure. The 9, she's a small-town girl, has run already and took it on some good horses, right? I mean, she ran taking on good horses. She ran against Punch Bowl in her debut at Oaklawn. Punch Bowl, we saw come back here and run a really good race in the Ashland. So she's a small town girl is interesting in here. Magical Loot has run against good runners in her couple starts, and she's trained by Ian Wilkes, who's had a tremendous meet here at Keeneland. So there's a lot to like about many of these in here. The 8 Check Engine Light has, comes out of the Busher against some fillies that are heading towards the Kentucky Oaks. So this is a very tough race. You've got first-time starters from barns that can win right out of the blocks. You got some experienced horses who have, good company lines. I don't have a great feel for this race. And when you look historically, the trends in this race, 17 winners for Gulfstream Park preppers, 14 for first-time starters. And we have nobody from Gulfstream in this race. So I kind of lean towards the rookies when none of the other circuits typically produce a lot in the maiden special 3-year-old ranks here at Keeneland in the spring. So it's either a Gulfstream horse or a first-time starter. Statistically, that's the way it leans. I'm going for the rookie since there are no Gulfstream Park horses in here. And that's why I've got Coppa Girl on top and Sassy Walker. I think those are the 2 best first-time starters. Tough race, very tough race in the 7th. To the 8th we go, and we get one of our key plays of the day here. This is a difficult race, but there's a Classy Euro in here adding Lasix for the first time. There's actually 2 of them, but statistically, I think one is more significant than the other, and that is number 1, Juncture. Juncture and Viareggio both ran against each other in the Philly Stakes at the Curragh in Ireland back in August. In fact, they ran first and third in that Group 3 race. Now they're in a lounge company against each other. So they've come a long way for the rematch. Both will get Lasix for the first time. But look at the statistics for trainer Brad Cox, first-time Lasix. He is a 38% winner when adding Lasix to a horse for the first time. That's one of the strongest trainer stats you'll see from 99 starters, according to the DRF sample size. So Juncture was really good overseas. And now with Lasix running here in the U.S. for the Brad Cox barn, could move forward even off of that. So while Juncture and Viareggio are familiar with each other from their race in Ireland, maybe in the States, the lean now with Lasix goes to Juncture, gets a little bit better post, but they're both drawn well in the 1 and 3 holes, respectively. I think they're both serious contenders in here. I think you also want to look at Fancy Martini, who was a winner over the course here last year. Joe Sharp's horses do pretty well going long. He's had a struggle so far this meet, but he can pop a horse in at a price. And I think Fancy Martini's one in here at a number if you're playing intra-race as far as trying to get an exacta or a try. Fancy Martini's a horse who's going to be a good price that you want to use in the underneath slots. But man, this is a race that's got some serious options to it. The 1 and the 3 are going to take a lot of the attention. Juncture, the top pick for Tom, myself, and for Scott. Viareggio for Gabby. And then Fastest Flight is going to get the top pick in here from Kim Nelson. And she's been good with her picks so far this meet as well. Fastest Flight drawn really well this time in the 2-hole after drawing the 10 last time going a mile in the Honey Fox, and still running a good race down at Gulfstream. We know the Gulfstream turfers are always very effective here on the Keeneland grass course, especially in these allowance type conditions. So there'd be no surprise whatsoever to see a big effort from the 2. I think when you're playing the pick 6 and you're looking at this race, it could be the one. Juncture is absolutely the horse to beat, but the 7, the 3, the 2, and the 6 are all options in here. You could go as deep as 5 deep in this 10-horse race. And have good options to go after. But I really like Juncture in this particular spot. Intra race, I would play the 1 over those other 5 horses, those other 4 horses. The 1 over the 7, 3, 2, and 6. Going to try to hit some exactas. Going to try to hit the try, perhaps. Use the 7 in those underneath spots, 2nd and 3rd. So 1, 7 all, 1 all 7, trying to attack. If we get the horse on top that we like, and we can get that long shot to run 2nd or 3rd, we want to make sure we at least come away with the 50-cent version of the trifecta with the full wheel. But good race in race number 8. Next up is the 9th on the card, and the 9th race will be our stakes event of the day. It's the Doubledogdare Stakes, Grade 3, $300,000 the purse here. Mile on a 16th, and this is a race where you've got some big barns with horses who are in pretty good form. Interstate Daydream comes back in here off a good 3rd-place finish in the Azeri Stakes. Brad Cox trains Interstate Daydream. This race is a mile and a 16th. We talked about the 32% win rate for Cox in these mile and a 16th races. Interstate Daydream ran a good one here last year in the Ashland when she was 3rd that day, to really one of the all-time good efforts in the Ashland by Nest. Nest ran away that day. Interstate Daydream had the lead. Got a little discouraged in the stretch as she got further in the rearview mirror of Nest that day, but she came back and won the Black-Eyed Susan, had a really good 3-year-old campaign. She's 2nd off the layoff. The race for Interstate Daydream in the Azeri Stakes last time out at Oaklawn was essentially a grade 1 because she was running against Secret Oath and Clairiere. Those two came right back out of that race and finished on the wire together, a nose apart last week in the grade 1 $1 million Apple Blossom. So the race Interstate Daydream comes out of simply is better than the race any of these others come out of. She might just simply be the one to beat. But it's not just Brad Cox with a big barn influence in this race. You've got number 2, Green Up, with Irad Ortiz and Todd Pletcher teaming up in Stakes Company around 2 turns here. This is a filly who was 9-5 to win the Cotillion, a grade 1, when things went awry for her. We haven't seen her since then in September, but she was a rising star, and who knows what we get from Green Up off the workouts at Palm Beach Downs, but she could certainly be effective in this particular spot and would not be a shock. The 7, Hidden Connection, was really one of the nice 3-year-old fillies last year. She was 2nd beating the nose in the Fairgrounds Oaks. She's had some big efforts. She comes off a 2nd in the Ladies Classic down at Sam Houston, and Brett Calhoun uncorked one today who had back-to-back wins at Sam Houston. You think that Texas form wouldn't translate here to Keeneland? ran off the screen today in Allowance Company. Really good effort from a Brett Calhoun trainee who wintered at Sam Houston. Don't be surprised. Hidden Connection was a very good 3-year-old filly last year. She could easily win this race. And then you got the 3 Frost Point, who's in really good form. Back-to-back wins in December and February at Aqueduct for Bill Mott. So, yeah, okay, just take the Brad Cox horse going to mile on the 16th. Be done with it. You know, she's run well over the track. It could be as simple as Interstate Daydream. But you also got Mott in here. You also have Pletcher in here with horses that are in good form. Hidden Connection coming off a second in the Sam Houston Ladies Classic. Didn't fire last time in the race in the Azeri, but now she's back. You know, she's back here in Kentucky, and we'll see. Hidden Connection, she could be effective in this race. I do think the 4 is the one to beat, though, Interstate Daydream, and you have to make a decision on just how many of these horses you want to use and what you can afford when you're looking at the pick 4s, the pick 5, and the pick 6. Look, the pick 6 gets more expensive. It's a $1 minimum, and it's also a race that stretches over 6, or a bet that stretches over 6 races. Pick 4, pick 5 have 50-cent minimums, and you don't have to use as many races when you're building up the budget of your tickets. So while maybe in the pick 6 you're going to single Interstate Daydream because you have to, because otherwise things are going to get super expensive. In the pick 4, pick 5, you might have a single on Interstate Daydream in the pick 6, but in the pick 4, pick 5, you may choose to use a multiple number of these other horses who are good options. And that's kind of a way to hedge and strategize throughout the course of the day. But if you do like Interstate Daydream, you go for the single absolutely in this spot if you feel confident in that runner, because you want singles in multi-race wagers. You simply do. It's either going to cut down the budget of your ticket completely, or it's going to allow you to play more combinations of what you like. You know, instead of going too deep and doubling the cost of the ticket, you're not playing a 50-cent ticket now. You're playing $1 for the exact same amount. And when you hit it, you hit it twice. And it's about getting paid when you're right in this game. So tomorrow's a day where somebody's going to get paid well. Hopefully it's you, and hopefully it's me as we hit the 10th and final race on the card. Back to the big board here. Want to see what the folks have. Interstate Daydream picked on top. Green Up picked a couple times, and Traverse even gets a top pick. We talked about the big barns. We didn't even mention Traverse as a potential horse in there. That one trained by Riley Mott, Bill's young son. So Joel Rosario rides. Traverse top pick in there for Scott. So it may not be as simple as Interstate Daydream. Gabby and I both have that one on top. To the 10th and final we go. A couple good options in here, including number 6, Rojo Redemption, one of my final key plays of the day. Race 10, long shot pedigree player. And why am I after Rojo Redemption? This horse ran twice at Turfway on the synthetic, but look at the pedigree. This is all distance on the turf. By Flincher out of a Giants Causeway mare. This horse didn't want to go a mile on the debut and got there. Last time got thrown into the stakes ranks and had a troubled trip in the Rushaway Stakes. Now we're back to the right spot. First level allowance race, and we're finally getting to the turf. And a mile and an eighth, this horse is going to absolutely love. So I'm on Rojo Redemption, a nice price. I think 15-1 in the morning line. So we're going to try to get out of here on a good note. Number 5, Battle of Normandy, goes for Shug McGahee. First start since the Breeders' Cup for Battle of Normandy. Shug's got 3 turf wins at the meet already, so his horses are firing on the grass. Don't be surprised if Irad Ortiz and Battle of Normandy are a big part of this. And number 9, Our Dream Ride, Ian Wilkes. Again, we've talked about the good meet that he's had. This one comes off the turf at Gulfstream, has run well here in the past. Only got beat 4 lengths or so in the Bourbon Stakes. A good third in Allowance Company here in the fall meet. We know Our Dream Ride likes it here at Keeneland. The winter turf racing at Gulfstream is superior to other parts of the country. So Our Dream Ride would certainly fit on the return back here. 6, 5, and 9 for me in the nightcap. Take a look at what the other handicappers have across the way. The 9's the top pick for 3 of them. Our Dream Ride for Tom, Gabby, and Kim. Scott's got number 10, Read On, as his top pick for trainer Dale Romans. That one coming off back-to-back wire-to-wire wins. So he's looking for some speed on the turf, Scott, with Read On. Okay, so that's going to wrap up the handicapping for the entire card. I want to review that pick 6 again. If you join mid-show, be sure to go back to the beginning and catch all the race analyses. But carryover, $859,584. $859,584 the carryover in the pick 6. It begins in race number 5. So going to take a couple minutes just to kind of review how we see this pick 6 sequence. And here's how it lays out, races 5 through 10. Race 5 is a turf sprint, and we think that there's at least 4 horses in here, the 3, the 4, the 5, and the 6, that are all capable of winning this race, drawn in beautiful post positions, and you absolutely have to follow the AE list in here to see if number 13, Red Hot Rod, gets in for Wesley Ward. It's a must-use if this horse gets in. So as you analyze race number 5, I think you're looking at 4 players already. maybe more, but I think at least the 3, 4, 5, 6, and you want to go to the outside on the AE list if that one draws in. Now, I think the potential single that we all mostly had agreed on in the handicapper selection box is Morning Cup. For the 5 in race number 6, took this horse for Irad Ortiz. Looks like potential lone speed. If not lone speed, only appeal denied is going to run with them early. I think you get a great trip there from the rail with Irad. That looks like the potential single to me of most confidence. Now, if you don't like this horse, now you're saying a lot of people are going to end up singling in race number 6. I don't like this runner. That's when you can get excited if you have other singles that you do like, because you're going to get way outside the public and look at a snowball payoff if that horse gets beat in race number 6, if everybody else is singling like we suspect it might be. I think there's a lot of options in race number 7. The first-time starter angle, we talked about no Gulfstream horses in that race, so we're looking at the rookies. There are good rookies to choose from. A couple horses who have run against really strong competition in the 3-year-old filly rank. So I think you're looking at, maybe going as many as 5 deep to try to get coverage in race number 7. Again, if you have a stronger opinion, this is where you pare down and this is where you separate yourself. Race number 8's one that I think, with the Brad Cox first-timer from Europe getting first-time Lasix juncture, this is a classic single or spread situation. And why I say that is you either take one horse, and if you don't take the horse in here juncture, now you start to bring everybody else to the party and they look a lot alike. So if you're not singling juncture, how deep are you getting in here? Are you getting 3 deep, 4 deep, 5 deep? Now the cost of your ticket starts to go crazy, right? Because if you just single juncture, let's say you have 100 combinations, otherwise it's a $100 ticket. But if you start going 2 deep, 3 deep, 4 deep, 5 deep, now all of a sudden you're up to $300, $400, $500 on the same ticket. And all you did was give yourself a little more coverage in one leg. Doesn't help you at all in the other 5 legs, right? I mean, the other 5 legs, you have the exact same number of combinations, but you just went from $100 to $500. So this is a classic, what I say, single or spread situation. When you have a horse you like, and there are a bunch of other ones right below that cusp, you just got to kind of grit your teeth and go after it and say, this is why we're gambling, right? So for me, I think it's a single or spread situation. And almost every single time, the correct answer to me is to single. Even when you lose, you're not going to probably lose the pick 6 because you hit the other 5 legs. Think how tough it is to get 5 out of 6 on a pick 6 ticket as it is. So never sweat the one that you lose, because there's a very good chance there's going to be another one during the sequence that you would lose too. So go for juncture in here if you like that particular one. If you don't like juncture, then this is a race to go 3, 4, 5 deep, because there are other good options. But you may have another situation where you're on a horse. Let's say it's Interstate Daydream. You like Interstate Daydream quite a bit, and you can't understand why anybody else will go 3, 4, 5 deep. That's your single or spread situation, because if you get beyond Interstate Daydream, how do you separate the Mott father-son team of horses, the Pletcher horse, the Calhoun horse, right? If you get past Interstate Daydream, all of a sudden that ticket starts to expand as well. So you're in that single or spread situation. As we continue down through, as we get to race number 9, Doubledogdare, there are good arguments to be made for the big barns. We just talked about it. Mott, Pletcher, Calhoun, and of course, Brad Cox. So weigh this race out in your mind. Which ones do you really need to have? Which ones do you prefer? What will your budget allow? And do you have a strong opinion on any particular one? Can somebody sway you on that opinion? Something I said tonight, maybe you go into the stats and trends blog that I have posted at Keeneland.com, and there's a figure in there, or a number or a trend that says, okay, that's what makes me want to lean to this horse over the others. Maybe you watch Scott and Gabby, and there's something on the workout report tomorrow on Today at Keeneland, or they give you an angle or an insight or a trainer interview for that race. Check the YouTube page and see what Tom Leach has for us for interviews for this race. Maybe there's something you can glean from that. Good arguments to be made. Is it just Interstate Daydream and everybody else? That's the decision you have to make as you talk about race number 9. And then in the 10th and final, this is where I've got my 15-1 long shot. Do not ever, ever, ever be afraid to use a price horse in a multi-race wager, but also get money on that horse in the win pool. But if you're like, oh, he's 15-1, I don't want to tie up a bunch of pick 5s and pick 6s. That's how you get the big payoff, is because you had the 15-1. Remember, today's pick 6 carried exclusively because a 17-1 shot won race number 8. There were 3 favorites in the 6 legs of the pick 6 today. That 17-1 carried the thing. So I would not be able to live with myself if I got to race number 10 and said, I just didn't want to use this horse in the pick 6 today because he's 15-1. That's the reason to use them, not the reason to not use them. And then you got other logical horses that could be in the mix there also in race number 10. So that's going to wrap things up for our handicapping. As you can hear, a little hubbub around the house. The dogs are getting excited. I think the dogs are ready for the pick six tomorrow. 859,000. We'll be able to buy them some new bones if we're able to come up with that. So on behalf of everybody at Keeneland, myself, Jeremy Plonk from Horse Player Now, good luck tomorrow. Big pick six. If you're not a pick six player, it's fun to follow along, but hopefully our strategies tonight will help get you on some single race winners. You got to pick one before you pick six. We'll talk to you tomorrow night as we preview Friday night into Saturday towards a big stakes card on Saturday that includes the Elkhorn for the turf marathoners and the Ben Ali for the classic division runners, the older handicap division. Have a great night, everybody. Talk to you tomorrow.